The day of the car accident, I died on the operating table. Before I died, I heard my biological parents saying, "Lily is our daughter, we have the right to decide about her organs. We only need one kidney, take it out immediately. Mia is in a hurry for the surgery." Mia, that was the fake daughter who took over my life. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day they brought me home. The 3-square-meter room piled high with trash reeked. I was tied to the bed, covered in a rash, and so hungry I was seeing stars. The door was locked from the outside, and the broken window was boarded up. But I was humming a little tune casually, because I knew I would be rescued. Just then, there was a loud banging sound outside the door, and familiar cries. "Lily! Mom and Dad are here, hang in there. Lily, say something." I stopped being so relaxed and burst into tears. "Help!" Finally, the door was opened. My biological parents' eyes turned red when they saw the situation, and they rushed over and held me tightly. "Lily, you've suffered. We're going home." "Okay," I said. "Going home." Going back to the home that made me die with regrets in my last life. I had been starved by my adoptive mother for 3 full days, and was getting 4 fluids at the small town hospital. My mom was holding me and crying non-stop, and my dad was making calls everywhere to find my adoptive mother. Then the door opened, and a girl in a pretty lotus-shaped dress with fancy jewelry walked in, rushed over excitedly, and sweetly called me sister. I knew her. Mia Smith. My parents' adopted daughter. For years, she was raised as their biological daughter until she was diagnosed with a hereditary kidney disease. Only then did they discover they had taken the wrong baby home from the hospital. While they looked for me, they doted on Mia, saying it was good deeds will be rewarded, hoping that I, their biological daughter, would also be treated well in someone else's home. Actually, I knew this was just to ease their own guilt and make themselves feel better. Otherwise, how could I have been barely alive in a stinky environment, while Mia enjoyed the best resources and education, and was pampered by mom and dad like a little princess? "Lily, this is your sister Mia." My mom wiped away her tears and pointed at Mia. I smiled at her. "Sister, what a pretty dress, can I touch it?" I reached out my dirty little hand. Mia's eyes flashed with disgust, but she quickly regained her composure. "Of course you can. I have lots of pretty dresses. If you like them, sister, I'll give them all to you." After smearing her dress with dirt, I withdrew my hand with satisfaction, admiring the welcome gift I gave her. Things that didn't belong to you, no matter how beautiful, would be stained. I sighed. "Thank you, sister, but I'm sick. Anything I wear will be ruined. And my adoptive mother said I don't deserve to wear nice clothes." Hearing this, my biological mom started crying again. "This adoptive mother of yours is heartless. She didn't give you food or water in this heat, locked you in that room, and you broke out in a rash. The doctor said there's a risk of viral infection. If anything happens later, I'm definitely going to sue her." I lowered my head. "Mom, I'm already happy just seeing you. I don't care about anything else. Mom and Dad, can you stay with me a little longer?" Mom and Dad nodded emotionally, their eyes full of love and pity. I scoffed in my heart. In my last life, when they first found me, they treated me like a treasure, but after Mia's schemes, wasn't it them who sent me, barely alive, to the operating table? "Lily is our daughter, we have the right to decide about her organs. We only need one kidney, take it out immediately. Mia is in a hurry for the surgery." Their voices still echoed clearly in my ears. Mom and Dad offered to take me home to recover properly. My eyes turned red, and tears fell. But my adoptive mother won't let me go with people. Every time I leave the house, she beats me. "You can't take me away. Mom and Dad, I don't want to be beaten anymore." After I said that, I lifted my sleeve and showed them the twisted, gnarled wounds and oozing sores. My dad gasped, and my mom turned pale with fright, covering her mouth and crying. "No, child, you must come home with us. Trust Mom and Dad, we can definitely take you back. It was Mom and Dad's mistake taking the wrong baby, making you suffer so much. Mom and Dad will definitely make it up to you." I lowered my eyes and shook my head. But you already have a sister. I don't want to take away her love. Anyway, I haven't had love for the past 13 years, I'm used to it." My mom quickly promised. "We are your biological parents. It's only right for us to dote on you. Everything you didn't have before, you won't lack in the future. Come home with mom and dad, okay? I hugged mom and cried loudly. Will I have a mom and dad now? Can I finally stop being beaten? Mia, across from me, watched all of this with a dark gaze. When she met my eyes, she pretended to smile magnanimously. Yes, mom and dad and I will all be very good to you. Sister, welcome home. How thoughtful and sensible she looked. Who would have thought this seemingly innocent little girl would arrange for someone to hit me with a car and kill me in the previous life? Taking everything I had wasn't enough. She wanted me to disappear completely before she was satisfied. In this life, I wouldn't let her get what she wanted again. I would personally take back what was mine, and I would definitely return the harm done to me 100-fold. That evening, my dad got a call saying they found Susan in a rundown motel. When the bodyguards brought her over, she was trembling all over, facing my powerful biological dad. Susan, get ready. We'll handle the paperwork tomorrow. I'm taking Lily home. We are her biological parents. She paused for a moment, then her face instantly changed. I bought this girl for several $100s. Why can you just take her away because you say so? That's right, I was kidnapped. My soul was floating in mid-air in the last life when I understood everything. That year, Mia Smith's biological mother swapped her baby with me in the hospital, sending her child to live a life of luxury and privilege. And I was sold by her for a low price to a widow named Susan. Susan was hateful. She bought me just so I could grow up and earn money for her with my body in those rundown chicken coops. From a young age, she treated me like dirt. As long as I didn't starve to death, she would starve me as much as possible. Beating and abusing me was commonplace. She probably thought raising a child was more expensive than buying one. So she planned to starve me to death recently. I had zero sympathy for her. My mom was also furious at her shameless attitude. You're being unreasonable. You bought my child. Just you wait. We're going to sue you for human trafficking and child abuse. Susan didn't realize she was doomed. Then you have to give me at least $200,000. I can't raise your child for free. Not a single cent. You're going to jail. My dad told people to kick her out and ordered them to keep an eye on her so she couldn't run away. That night, my mom held me tightly, talking about the years of longing and guilt. Meanwhile, Mia tossed and turned on the small bed next to me, looking like she didn't sleep all night. After delaying for over 10 days in the small town, Mom and Dad successfully got custody of me, and Susan went to jail. In front of a luxurious villa in the city center, a middle-aged woman in a housekeeper's uniform stood at the entrance, smiling warmly and bowing towards us. Mrs., you're back. Mom and Dad held my hand in Mia's and walked straight inside. Okay, is everything you prepared before ready? The housekeeper nodded. Everything is ready. I walked past the housekeeper and felt a sharp, resentful gaze. I suddenly looked up and met the housekeeper's dark eyes. She quickly smiled. What is it, miss? I smiled, nothing. Interesting. It seems everything is the same as in the last life. Nothing has changed. Mary is still lurking in the house, watching her biological daughter, Mia, become a rich young lady living a life of luxury, and being able to take care of her daughter up close, not missing a single day of her daughter's life. She was too smart. So smart that after swapping her own daughter with me in the hospital, she even found a way to become a housekeeper in Mom and Dad's house, getting paid to take care of her own biological daughter. What deep and passionate motherly love. And I, the real rich daughter, became their sacrifice. In the last life, I only found out all of this after I died. Now, I'm going to peel off their layers, one by one. No one is getting off easy. Mom and Dad gave me a card with $20 million in it, saying I could do whatever I wanted with it, and also gave me other small assets. As for settling in, Mary arranged the largest, most luxurious room in the house for me. I shook my head and refused. Mom and Dad, this is sister's room. I won't fight for it. I can live anywhere, as long as I can be with Mom and Dad every day. In my previous life, after I came back, Mary used the excuse of Mom and Dad compensating me to give me all of Mia's things. I was naive then, and thought this was truly Mom and Dad's love. Later, I realized that with each passive taking of things, Mom and Dad felt more and more guilty towards Mia. And at the same time, They increasingly felt that I was greedy and never satisfied. Now, I wasn't that stupid anymore. Mom and Dad praised me for being sensible, and Mary could only uncomfortably take me to see the other rooms. I chose a medium-sized one, and finally settled in. My mom then had Mary bring over some pretty new dresses, held me in her arms and said gently, "Mom didn't know your size, but these years when I bought new clothes for your sister, I would order one in your size at the store based on hers. See if you like any?" I looked through them for a long time and took out a lotus-shaped dress, exactly the same as the one Mia was wearing that day that I messed up. I walked up to Mia, tilted my head, and smiled very friendly. "Sister, I'm sorry. I accidentally got your dress dirty that day. This one is to make it up to you." Mia was stunned for a moment and instinctively took the dress. I propped my chin in my hand and looked at her. "Sister, don't be mad anymore, okay? Go change into the new dress quickly. I'll change into a new dress too, and then we'll go out and play, okay?" Her hand trembled, and her smile was a bit forced. "Sister, I'm not mad. This is a dress Mom bought for you. I have many others. You don't need to make it up to me." I turned to look at my mom, my eyes brimming with tears. "Mom, is Sister mad at me? Why else won't she accept my dress? Or does Sister not want to play with me? Mom, maybe I should just go back. I don't want Sister to be unhappy." My mom quickly comforted me, and Mia was also afraid of ruining her image in front of Mom and Dad, so she quickly said, "I'm not." My mom sighed. "Mia, why don't you play with your sister for a while?" Mia could only compromise and went to the bedroom to change with a frown. Mary's face was a kaleidoscope of emotions, her eyes full of worry and anger. I smiled sweetly and went to play games in the garden with Mia. After only half an hour, she broke out in a rash, had trouble breathing and fainted. Mary, who had been standing by the whole time, quickly took her to the hospital. I laughed where I was. Actually, there was a simple way to deal with this mother-daughter pair: a DNA test. As soon as the results came out, these two would definitely be kicked out. But I wanted all of them to pay a much heavier price. The test results showed she inhaled a lot of sycamore pollen, which caused an allergic reaction due to her low immunity. Mom and Dad looked at Mia worriedly after she woke up, comforted her a few times, and started looking for the source. There were no sycamore trees in the backyard, so where did the pollen come from? I remained silent, but I knew exactly. Mary had sprinkled a lot of sycamore pollen on the clothes she prepared for me. The purpose was to make me, with my low immunity, have an allergic reaction. In my previous life, I didn't understand why, and my parents also thought my rash was a lingering problem from my time at Susan's. It lasted for several years, and by the time my body was better and I wasn't allergic anymore, I had already developed scars on my body, and even on my face. That's why the engagement that should have been mine was easily stolen by Mia. I wanted them to experience all the suffering I went through back then. Right now, Mary lowered her head guiltily. Seeing Mom and Dad digging deeper, Mia spoke weakly. "Mom and Dad, it was me. I went out to play just now and thought the sycamore trees over there were pretty, so I stayed longer." Mom and Dad dismissed their suspicion and comforted her, telling her to rest and recover. "Mom, I'm really uncomfortable." Mia snuggled into my mom's arms, and Mom affectionately stroked her forehead. She opened her eyes and looked in my direction. "Sorry, sister. I'm just taking up Mom for a little while. I'll give her back to you when I feel better." "Playing the tea ceremony game, huh?" I quickly stood up and cautiously looked at Mom and Dad. Sister has a deep bond with Mom and Dad. It's only right for Mom to stay with you when you're sick. "Mom, I can sleep by myself tonight. You stay here at the hospital with Sister." I easily diffused the situation. "Yoju, did you really think I was still that little girl craving motherly love and attention? Go ahead and take all the company you want. Anyway, you don't have many days left to jump around." Mom stroked my head. "Lily, you're so sensible." Mia's face got even uglier. She seemed to have realized that I wasn't as easy to deal with as she thought. Mia stayed in the hospital for more than 10 days this time, complaining of headaches or itchiness the whole time. Maybe she felt like she couldn't keep up the act anymore, so she finally let my mom take her home. At the dinner table, she kept putting food on Mom and Dad's plates and mine, her attempts to please a bit too obvious. Just as I was holding a big bowl of hot soup, She seized the opportunity to get up and knocked over my bowl. The hot soup scalded her, and she cried out in pain, wincing. "Ah, it hurts. Sister, why did you pour soup on me?" Mom and Dad quickly got up and glanced at me with confused and scrutinizing looks. After all, Mia had blocked most of their view just now. They hadn't seen anything. Mia screamed a few more times. Mary couldn't help but come over to help her up, and Mom and Dad quickly followed, cleaning her up and applying ice packs. Finally, she sat across from me, rubbing ointment on her scald. "Mom and Dad, please don't blame sister, okay? She didn't mean it." Before Mom and Dad could say anything, I held up my swollen right hand, which was scraped and had a big blister. "Sister, I really didn't mean it. You got up too fast and suddenly bumped into me. I tried my best to move the bowl away, but I still couldn't protect you. Mom and Dad, it's my fault for being useless. I couldn't even protect sister." Actually, this wasn't from the recent scald. Mia and her sudden false accusation were also unexpected. I scalded myself while they were tending to Mia's injury. I figured my words would be more convincing if my injury was worse. Coupled with my flawless performance, I successfully made my parents rush over, clean my wound more carefully, and also subtly give Mia a glance. In the end, my injury was too severe, and I went to the hospital. And Mia sat there alone, her face pale. In the afternoon, back at home, Mom and Dad went into the bedroom, and Mia sat silently next to me, looking like she was under a dark cloud. I tilted my head and looked at her, then suddenly sneered. "Your tactics are too childish, aren't they? Mia, you've been an imposter for too long. Have you forgotten who you are?" She turned to look at me in surprise, then her face suddenly sank. "I knew you had bad intentions. Just you wait. Even if you're Mom and Dad's biological daughter, you won't be able to beat me." Since the gloves were off, I didn't need to hold back anymore. Reaching out, I grabbed her hair and said coldly, "Get out of here." She screamed in pain, and Mom and Dad rushed out when they heard her. She cried sadly and pitifully, "Mom and Dad, sister hit me." She pulled my hair. Mary, who had been watching from the side, also quickly spoke up, as if afraid she would lose control of the situation if she was a second too late. "Mr. and Mrs., it's true that Miss did it." Mom and Dad looked at me angrily, and I stood up, intending to walk away. They called me back, and I started crying. "Yes, I did hit my sister, but she said I would be Susan's child my whole life. She said that you deliberately abandoned me back then because you didn't like me and I didn't deserve your love. She said you brought me back just out of guilt. Mom and Dad, I finally have a home." When I heard that, I lost control and hit her. It's my fault, and I'm willing to let her hit me back. But I paused at the appropriate moment before continuing. "If Mom and Dad really don't like me, I can leave. I don't want to make Mom and Dad unhappy." These words were like knives stabbing them in the chest. My mom couldn't hold back anymore and hugged me, sobbing, "No, Mom and Dad don't think that. Mom and Dad love you very much. We haven't had a good night's sleep all these years looking for you." My dad was also visibly moved. "Child, this is your home." Mia was so provoked by this that she screamed, "Mom and Dad, she's lying. I didn't say that." I bit my lip. Sister doesn't like me. I should still leave. To appease me, my dad turned and looked stern. "Mia, I remember you were always so well behaved. How could you say such things to hurt your sister's feelings?" Mia was still trying to explain, and Mary chimed in, both of them chattering away, which made my dad lose patience. "All right, enough said. Mia, your sister had a very difficult time before. You need to take care of her. Mom and Dad's love for both of you is the same, so don't overthink it." Mia stomped her foot in anger, and Mary was also sweating anxiously. This was just the beginning. Why were they so anxious already? Weren't these all the tactics you used countless times in the previous life? In the following days, Mom and Dad's attitude towards Mia became noticeably colder, while Mia tried her best to make up for it, bringing them tea and water, and massaging their shoulders and backs. After all, they had raised her for so many years, and Mom and Dad were eventually moved. This setback made Mary and Mia quiet down for a few days. Just in time for school to start, my dad arranged for me to enroll in Mia's school as her classmate. Maybe because she knew I hadn't had much schooling before. On the first day of school, Mia couldn't wait to tell her classmates. "Lily is a hillbilly and illiterate. like completely unable to read. My dad's assets in this city were leagues ahead of the second wealthiest person. Mom and Dad gave her a lot of allowance, enough to form cliques in this elite school. As her lackeys increased, more and more people harassed and bullied me. Some would deliberately ask me to recite the multiplication table and laugh at me for being mentally challenged. Some would draw turtles in my books, saying I wouldn't understand the words anyway. Finally, I dumped all the trash people had stuffed in my desk onto Mia's desk and looked at her coldly. If you have the guts, come at me yourself. What kind of skill is it to use your lackeys? She scoffed, crossing her arms and said, "Weren't you illiterate to begin with?" I smiled. "Since you say I'm illiterate, how about we make a bet? In the next exam, my ranking will definitely be higher than yours. If I do it, I'll tell Mom and Dad to only give you $300 allowance each month from now on. If I don't, you can do whatever you want." She sneered. "With you?" The people around her, this time, didn't dare to follow her lead, because they only just found out that I was also the daughter of the richest man. Care to bet? Under everyone's gaze, she was incredibly arrogant. Fine. She wrote up the agreement, and I specifically asked for 2 copies. We each signed them. I took my copy home to show Mom and Dad. Sister and I are going to have a competition. We can work hard together to improve our studies. Mom and Dad, please be our witnesses. What's not to like about something like this? Mom and Dad readily agreed. Needless to say, I aced the midterm exam. Even if she studied for another 10 years, she couldn't beat me. After all, since my last life, her grades were always far behind mine. Back then, I cherished the hard-earned life I had. I listened to Mom and Dad, studied hard, slept only 5 hours a day, and caught up to the middle school level after 6 months of tutoring. Later, I kept working hard and consistently ranked first. As for her, in terms of academics and life, she expected to get things without working for them. She was just a clown who cheated on exams. When the results were announced, everyone stared at me in surprise, then turned to look at Mia with complicated expressions. She looked a little flustered, then gritted her teeth and glared at me. I went home and showed my report card to Mom and Dad. They both said I was a genius. Under my watchful eye, Mom and Dad took away Mia's card. "Third place is pretty good, but you still need to work harder. How about this? If you improve by 1 spot from now on, Mom will give you your card back." Mia's eyes were red, but she could only nod. I smiled, because I knew the student who ranked second was the one who cheated for her. Their family was very strict, and with me around, she could only get second place at best, and falling further would be hard to explain to her family. It was too hard for her to get second place. After that, Mia became the most miserable student in school. While her classmates were eating fancy Western food, she was eating steamed buns alone in the classroom. While her classmates were discussing where to go on the weekend or what bags, shoes, and jewelry to buy, she could only touch her empty wallet and grit her teeth in hatred. Even at her favorite parties, she couldn't even afford a decent gift. Over time, her lackeys became fewer and fewer, until there were none left. Even the people who had helped her mock me before were now secretly giving her disdainful looks. I found out. She's just the adopted daughter of Mr. Miller. That Lily is the real rich girl. You guys better not suck up to the wrong person. Didn't you see that ever since the real rich girl came back, Mr. Miller stopped giving her allowance? She's going to be kicked out sooner or later. Oh my, a fake is still so arrogant. She's not even as good as me. A few students gossiping were caught by Mia. Her face turned red with anger. You weren't like this when you used to suck up to me. She had a pretty bad temper to begin with, and there were plenty of people who couldn't stand her. Miss Chen was bullied quite a bit by her before, and she said sarcastically, "Did you really think they were sucking up to you? They were sucking up to Mr. Miller. What kind of person are you anyway? Just a fake." I chuckled, and Mia's eyes turned red with anger. She was so mad at my provocative look that she slapped Miss Chen across the face. "Who are you to talk to me?" The Chen family was second wealthiest in the city, and although not as rich as the Miller family, Miss Chen was also spoiled and couldn't stand being slapped for no reason. She immediately tried to hit back. They were pulling each other's hair and grabbing each other's arms. The scene was chaotic until someone went to get a teacher. Finally, my parents arrived at the school. On one hand, it was true that Mia threw the first punch, everyone saw it. On the other hand, my dad didn't want to get a reputation for being unreasonable and bullying people over his daughter's issue. So the matter ended after my parents apologized. At home, Mia stood in the center of the living room, and my dad frowned angrily. It's been years since I had to apologize to anyone, and you went and made me look like a fool. My mom patted his chest. Don't be angry, kids fighting is normal. Mia cried and apologized, promising she would never do it again. This was a small matter, but to make sure she learned her lesson, while I comforted her, I also convinced my dad to stop giving her a card for 2 years. Mia cried even harder. Mia was completely broke now, but the one who was most anxious should have been Tom Miller, Mary's biological son, and Mia's older brother. Mary, well, she wasn't particularly capable, but there's no doubt she loved her children. Her biological daughter, sent to live as a rich young lady. She couldn't favor one over the other, so her biological son, whom she couldn't secretly swap, was utterly spoiled by her. Mia wasn't short on money, and after finding out Mary was her biological mother, she would give her half of her monthly allowance. Tens of thousands of dollars was not a small amount. Tom Miller grew up wearing expensive clothes and living in a big house in the city, having everything handed to him on a silver platter. Mary thought Mia could support them for life. And Tom Miller genuinely believed his mom had a high salary working as a housekeeper for a rich family. The two of them spent money lavishly and carelessly, barely saving anything. Mia had long thought of herself as royalty, and her original allowance wasn't even enough for her, let alone having savings. But now their source of income was cut off, and Mary was frantic, constantly sneaking into Mia's room, probably discussing something. Remembering my experience in the previous life, I turned on the small camera I bought, placed it in an inconspicuous corner of the room, and left. In a dark alley, I saw Tom Miller. He was squatting outside a run-down underground casino, smoking irritably. Damn it, when I had money, people were bowing and scraping to me. When I don't have money, they won't even let me in. Damn gold diggers. Tom Miller was addicted to gambling. After I died in my previous life, Mia successfully inherited my dad's company. And after he found out Mia was his biological sister, he gambled recklessly and ran up debts. Mia was also ruthless. Ignoring Mary's desperate pleas, she cut ties with Tom Miller and watched as the casino people chopped off his fingers. I could still hear his screams, see him crying and fainting from the pain. If he knew the adopted daughter of the richest family was his biological sister, he wouldn't be so upset, right? How pitiful. Let's help him out. When I got home, Mom and Dad were sitting on the sofa, looking upset. Mia was looking down, occasionally glancing at me out of the corner of her eye. What's wrong, Mom and Dad? I asked, pretending not to know. Mom and Dad told me to come sit down. Mom's necklace is missing. Do you know where it went? Mia shook her head. I don't know. I also shook my head. Mom and Dad's faces became even more upset. Mary is off today. The security camera on the first floor showed only you two going in and out on the second floor. You're young, and sometimes you might make mistakes, but it's never too late to correct them. If you admit it now, we won't blame you. Neither of us said anything. Mom and Dad tried to persuade us a few more times, then just started searching the rooms. The necklace, it was found under my pillow. My dad got angry and almost slapped me. Didn't Mom and Dad give you money? If you need money, you can tell us. Why would you steal? My mom also stood there with her arms crossed, her face cold for the first time. Lily, that's a terrible habit. I cried and said I didn't steal. My dad said sternly, then tell me, how did this necklace get into your room? Did it walk in on its own? Mia was so agitated she could barely hide it, her voice trembling as she spoke. Mom and Dad, I remember there are many confidential documents at home. It's not a big deal if sister steals a necklace, but if she steals confidential documents, that would be terrible. To get rid of me, Mia stopped pretending to be sensible and speaking up for me. She directly led Mom and Dad to think the worst. Sure enough, their faces were practically touching the floor. I cried and went to my room, then came out with the camera. The school was going on a field trip, so I bought a camera in advance. I kept it on to test it out. I wasn't home all day today, so we can check the camera and see what happened. Mia's face changed drastically, and she gasped in surprise. No. Mom and Dad stared at her with a strange look. It seemed they realized something, their expressions turning dark. They took the camera from my hand. After a long while, my dad stood up, tall, and slapped Mia across the face. Why would you deliberately frame your sister? We've treated you well, haven't we? After the initial shock, Mia collapsed onto the sofa, blood dripping from the corner of her mouth, crying hysterically. Even though Mom was angry, she still felt sorry for her child being hit, and quickly went to protect Mia, sobbing, "It's okay. Even if she made a mistake, you shouldn't have hit her so hard. What a loving mother." I suddenly wanted to laugh. In my previous life, when my dad was forcing me to donate a kidney to her, why wasn't she protecting me like that? After my dad's outburst, Mia was so scared she rolled her eyes back. She had to be taken to the hospital and given oxygen to recover. My dad felt a little guilty afterwards for hitting her too hard, and stayed at the hospital with my mom to take care of Mia. As for me, I went to their room, used my memory to open the safe, and successfully found the financial records of Miller Group. I took photos of them. The day I went to see Mia, her hospital room was packed. Tom Miller stood in the room, reaching out to my parents assertively. Mia is my mom's biological daughter, my biological sister. What's wrong with me asking my sister for money? She's your adopted daughter. Doesn't she have money? You should give it to her. He really was his mother Mary's son, like mother like son. He had lived too comfortably and thought everything was his right. My parents were deeply shocked by Tom Miller. After a long while, my dad asked with difficulty, "Who's your mother?" Tom Miller was still smug. "Of course it's Mary. The one who works as a housekeeper in your house." He was proud, of course. When I had someone tell him about Mia's identity, I specifically mentioned that she had a deep bond with Mom and Dad, and that Mom and Dad had always treated her like their own daughter, even after knowing she wasn't biological. His gambling debt was nothing compared to that. For Mia, Mom and Dad would even give him shares in the company. As for Mary, she had been working diligently for the Miller family for years, and was like a trusted old housekeeper. "All right, I don't want to waste any more time talking to you. I just want $700,000. Give it to me and I'll leave. I'll come back next month, and you can give me more." Tom Miller was still dreaming of a bright future, while Mom and Dad called Mary and asked her to come over. Meanwhile, Mia woke up and looked at Tom Miller as if she had seen a ghost. "I don't know him, I really don't know him. Mom and Dad, please make him leave, okay? I don't want to see him. He's just trying to scam us, trying to cheat money." Tom Miller said impatiently, "I'm your brother. You're saying I'm a fraud? Wait till Mom comes, she'll slap you. Sis, weren't you loaded before? Didn't you give us money for years?" Mia pretended to be crazy to try and fool them, but my dad was furious and insisted on Mary coming over. When she rushed over, she was also scared pale by the appearance of her son. "Mom." Tom Miller, unaware of what was going on, proudly walked over. "Tell me, is Mia your biological daughter, my biological sister?" Mary quickly tried to play it off. "Ma'am, sir, I'm sorry, this is my son. He has some mental issues and often talks nonsense. I apologize for disturbing you. I'll take him away now." Tom Miller shook off Mary. "What are you talking about? I'm not sick. Why won't you admit it? I've been asking you for days and you still won't admit it." After saying that, Tom Miller took out a photo. It was a picture of a young Mary with a baby. The baby's features were clear, and there was a black mole on the right side of its cheek, like a teardrop. After looking closely for a few moments, my parents' eyes were full of disbelief. They had raised Mia for over 10 years, and remembered how she looked at every stage of her life. Mary still tried to argue. "This was when I first came to work for your family as a housekeeper. I took this picture of the baby because she was so cute." Her idiot son Tom Miller pointed at the line of text below. March 2, 2001, taken at Ming City Hospital. She took this photo before she decided to swap the babies, probably to remember her daughter since she thought she wouldn't be able to see her again. I didn't expect Tom Miller to find something like this. My parents were even less likely to expect it. My dad had been in the business world for many years, and Mary's little scheme was quickly seen through by him. "Did you secretly swap the babies and sell our daughter?" You harmed my daughter and let your daughter steal my daughter's life, and you even dared to be a housekeeper in my house openly? How dare you? My dad was radiating coldness. Getting within 10 meters of him felt like being frozen. Mary was so scared she trembled and collapsed onto the floor. I. My dad called the police, and Mary and her son Tom Miller were taken away. In the hospital room, there were 4 of us, and the atmosphere was very tense. Mia started pretending to faint the moment the photo came out. Mom and Dad stared at her with complicated expressions, not saying anything for a long time. Mia fainted for a whole day and night. Finally, the doctor said it was impossible, and only then did my dad pat her. Wake up. You've been with us for so many years, we won't do anything to you. Hearing that, she woke up, her eyes full of tears. Mom and Dad, I'm afraid you'll abandon me. When I found out Mary was my biological mother, I was already 6 years old. I don't have much feeling for her. I only see you as Mom and Dad. She threatened me, saying she would reveal my identity if I didn't give her money. That's why I did it. These words didn't matter anymore. After a lot of consideration, Mom and Dad had clearly compromised. Okay, as long as you get rid of your bad habits and don't contact them, we will still raise you. Mia quickly swore, bowing and kowtowing. I watched, my heart cold. I remembered in my previous life, she had late-stage kidney disease and no suitable donor. My dad forced me to donate a kidney to her, and I also pleaded bitterly like this. But my dad beat me severely, saying I was heartless and wouldn't help someone dying. We shouldn't have found you in the first place. But now, facing Mia, whose background was so shady, they still chose to be tolerant. Some decisions had to be made. After that, Mary also went to jail, and Tom Miller was released. I hired someone to find my dad's rival and sent him all the photos of the financial records. The rival found countless loopholes and started suing Miller Group. My dad was overwhelmed with stress, and my mom was busy trying to fix things. I gave Tom Miller a large sum of money, which he quickly blew on gambling debts. He could only come back to me for more. Mia was extremely wary and dragged him outside. After a long time, Mia finally came back late at night. I was quietly in my room, listening as her footsteps went to the bedroom. The next day, I called my dad. The video of Mia stealing money from his bedroom was very clear. My dad was already annoyed about the confidential information being leaked, and now catching a thief, he angrily grabbed her hair and slammed her head against the wall. You're not our biological daughter. We treated you like our own, but you keep making the same mistakes. You even dare to steal. Stealing a necklace and money is one thing, but you dare to touch the company's financial records. I'm going to beat you to death today, you traitor. Mary, that kind of lowlife woman, her daughter is bound to be rotten to the core. Get out. I never want to see you again. Mia trembled all over, collapsing in a pool of blood. Dad, please don't abandon me. I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. Dad, please don't kick me out, okay? I don't want to leave. I really don't want to leave. She was probably beaten senseless, curled up on the ground, staring blankly ahead, repeating those few sentences. My dad just picked her up and ordered the bodyguards to throw her out. Mia got up and cried, knocking on the door from outside, calling for Dad over and over again. But my dad had already driven away because the court summons had arrived. Late at night, heavy rain started falling. I stood under an umbrella, watching the soaking wet, bloodied person outside. Mia, congratulations, you've got your own life back. Hearing my voice, she suddenly stood up and tried to lunge at me, but I kicked her away. From now on, you have no mom, no dad, and no money. But you still have a gambling addict brother. Just thinking about it is exciting. You've taken my place for so many years and enjoyed enough. Spend the rest of your life atoning for it. She cursed at me fiercely, saying threatening things, like a wounded animal, not aggressive, but annoying. Oh right, don't expect Mom and Dad to still care about the past and want you back, because they'll be even more miserable than you. As for your biological mother, I'll tell you, your mom sent you here just for your brother. What else? Your brother owes over $1 million. You can start working now, with a monthly salary of $3,000. If you don't eat or drink your whole life, you'll pay it off pretty quickly. Under my repeated provocations, she shrieked and jumped away like a wild animal. In the darkness, I heard her crying at times and laughing at times. When my mom came back and found out about everything that had happened, her blood pressure shot up. After taking a few pills, she insisted on going out to look for Mia. She's still a child. She can always change if she's made a mistake. Your dad shouldn't be so cruel. Do you know where she went? I nodded and pointed in the direction opposite the main gate. She rushed out the door. Watching her back, I expressionlessly closed the curtains. After a few loud crashes and screams, I saw that as she was crossing the street, she was hit by a car and thrown over 10 meters away. She lay in a pool of blood, looking in my direction. I waved at her and mouthed with a smile, "Have a good journey." My mom didn't make it. And because she rushed across the street without looking at the traffic light, the driver was only sentenced to 1 year. The bad news hadn't reached my dad, who was being held for investigation. He probably wouldn't have the chance to know anyway. His company was involved in tax evasion and commercial fraud. The huge compensation not only bankrupted the company, but also resulted in him being sentenced to 5 years. The news was all over the place, broadcasting his wrongdoings. He became someone everyone hated. When I visited him in prison, he asked me with a vacant look in his eyes, "Is your mother really dead?" I nodded and said calmly, "Yeah, it was terrible. She was hit by a car trying to find Mia. Why did she even go? It would have been better if she didn't. If she hadn't gone, that driver wouldn't have appeared. She could have been alive and well, at least kept her life." My dad burst into tears, and I comforted him, "Don't worry. You reform well in prison. When you come out." I smiled sinisterly at him. "I'll make you die an even worse death." He suddenly looked up, staring at me in horror. I waved at him and left. From the beginning, I transferred the assets they gave me. Although it was only tens of millions of dollars, it was enough for me to study and grow up. Over the years, I studied hard and got into a good university. During that time, I heard that Mary was released from prison. Her son ran away because of gambling debts, and the debt collectors, being ruthless, cut off her right hand. She had to beg for a living every day. But the horrible things she had done had already spread, and no one was willing to give her money. Even when the community tried to provide assistance, the money was taken by debt collectors before she even got it. Finally, after experiencing a few months of pain, she was beaten so severely for stealing that one of her legs was broken. On a cold, dark night, she slept under an overpass and closed her eyes forever. And Tom Miller didn't disappoint either. After moving to another city, he continued gambling. This time, the debt collectors found him, beat him half to death, leaving him disabled and lying alone in a hospital bed, waiting for his life to end. After leaving this city, I gradually forgot about those things. On a business trip, I went back to this city. In a secluded alley, I saw a woman in rags, laughing happily while eating out of a dog's bowl. A vicious dog was tearing at her nearby, but she seemed not to feel the pain, wolfing down the food. Seeing the mole on her face, I walked over. "Mia Smith?" Hearing those words, she looked up at me, blinked, and even barked twice. I smiled. "Do you regret it?" A flicker of struggle flashed in her eyes, then turned to numbness. She seemed unable to speak anymore. I turned and left. Her life was over, but mine had just begun. The end.